Can we make a start?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my name's Chris, and I started Ideal Homes back about 11 years ago. I moved to the Algarve about 12 years ago, and I'm joined today by Sasha. Quite a lot of people might have seen him on the YouTube videos. And so thank you for coming, Sasha.
You're welcome.
So we have a few little technical problems. All the power went off 5 minutes ago. So when you do these things live, we have to go through this process. But we're here to questions you've got in general. We think it's going to be more focused on Donna Maria 2, the residences. But we're here to answer any questions. Mm-hmm. And Sasha, you've lived here a long time, haven't you?
35 or more years. I didn't count how many years I've been here. But I feel privileged to live here.
Yes.
It's a fantastic place, isn't it? Yeah. There may be one or two spots better in the world, but I don't know where they are. Great climate, great people, great food, really relaxed environment. You don't need to have much effort in terms of, enjoying the place. The beaches are great. If you're a golfer, more than 50 golf courses. If you don't want to learn Portuguese, everybody speaks English. The Portuguese are really nice and laid back, and they don't bother you. So it's a great environment. Really.
Yeah, I lived in 7 different countries before I found Portugal.
Right.
And whereas I remember just before I moved to Portugal, I was actually living in New Zealand at the time.
Oh, really?
And I really enjoyed New Zealand, and it was just that little bit too far away from home. So I came to Portugal for 2 days, and that was it. We were settled, hooked. Hook, line and sinker. I'm ready to stay.
Well, absolutely. When I came just for a summer job, and I wasn't intending on staying more than 3 months.
What was the summer job?
I was working for a timeshare company.
Oh, was it?
Promotional work, and it was just something just to make a change. I was living and working in London, and I got mugged, and I wasn't badly hurt or anything, but it just made me reassess what I wanted to do. I wasn't enjoying my job very much, and I just saw a job advertised for Portugal. Went for an interview in the Bullring in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And got the job, came out, and then just fell in love with the place. I've been here ever since.
Yeah. My first taste of being abroad was actually working for Thomas Cook.
Okay.
So I used to be a holiday rep, so a tour guide, and that was it. I realised that the sun was the way forward.
Absolutely. I hate I can't stand this cold weather.
Right. Especially, I spoke to my mum. Yeah, she said they've had snow, they've had sleet. Yeah, but we're in the garden playing with the dogs and the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we'll crack straight into it. If anyone's got any questions, we've got a list of questions already. But if anyone's got any questions, if you can email them in or put them in the chat box, we'll do our best to answer them for you today. So the first one, Sasha, and you can answer this one, is what deposit do you need to pay once you get an offer accepted, i.e. the deposit when an offer is accepted?
Well, it depends on the development or on the property. So it's on a case-by-case basis, but generally speaking, you put down a €6,000 reservation, and then it might be 10%, or it might be 20%. It might be 30%, depending upon where we're talking about. For Donna Maria residences, we only need to put down a 5% deposit initially, which is fantastic. That is much lower than standard. And then 10% 6 months after that, and then 15% 6 months after that, so up to 30%, but really over a 12-month time frame. If you're looking at buying a property on second-hand property, buying directly from someone who's selling it, it ranges between 10% and 30%, and then the remainder on completion.
Yeah, and following up from that, you can get an 80% mortgage really easily in Portugal, and the bank rates are super low. We arranged a mortgage for a client last week. I saw the offer come in, and the headline rate was 1.1%, but taking into account that Euribor's on a minus, it's actually less than that. My mortgage personally, I got a headline rate of 1.1%, and it's coming in at around about 0.7. So on my personal house, I owe the bank 353,000 euros, and the repayments are less than 900 per month.
That sounds pretty good. And also for American audience, you know, when people from the States hear about variable interest rates, I'm not quite sure what the setup is in the US, but the variable interest rate is very variable. You know, it may be low 1 month, but then, you know, suddenly jump by 2 percentage points a couple of months later. That isn't the case here in Portugal. I mean, the variable rate is almost a low, constantly low rate. I mean, for example, I purchased my apartment about 23 years ago, and at that time I was paying, I think, 430 euros a month, and it never rose more than that in all the 23 years, and now it's, I think, 375 euros a month. Yeah. So people can have confidence, you know, the variable rate is likely to remain low, you know, over the course of the mortgage.
Yeah, I mean, and if we was to ever get wind that the rates were going to increase, the first thing we would do is we'd get our in-house mortgage broker, Christina, to contact you, and we'd say, now's the time to fix the rate.
Sure.
So I don't see that changing over the next 5 years.
No.
So no. Okay, next question. Okay, this is a big question. Will the kitchens in Donna Maria residences have a kitchen island like a Vega?
Well, it's possible, but they're not planned like that at this stage, but it's possible. I think a client of mine is in fact requesting that, and so we're organizing it.
Okay, so I'll let you into a secret. I brought one there. Okay. And I didn't really look at that because kitchen isn't my forte. And I saw one of the clients, really nice couple, I've spoken to them personally myself, and they designed a really nice kitchen and wanted to add in a little wine cell. Oh. Yeah, so you can do it. Okay. Will the outdoor pool be heated?
Well, that's a good question. I don't actually know that no. At this stage. I don't, probably not. But the indoor pool will certainly be heated. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would guess. I mean, I've been in now for a long time, even before I moved to Portugal. And he normally, the indoor pool will certainly be heated, yeah, but the outdoor pool probably not. So, because even if you put solar panels up and heat a big outdoor pool like that, it just doesn't work. And to get a heat source pump running all the time, it would just push the condominium fee too high. So, no. And you don't, I mean, if you've got an indoor pool and it's heated, you'd swim there from November through till March, April, you'll be back in the outdoor pool. Sure. So my kids are in the pool this weekend. So yeah. The other one is, what do you see the outlook for Largos over the next 2 to 5 years?
Well, I would say for Largos, in fact, the whole of the Algarve, but particularly for Largos, very positive. I mean, the property market in COVID year of 2020, on average, in Portugal rose 5.9%. And it's amazing. And the Portugal News has, and the last headline was, you know, on the 13th of February was Portugal immune from COVID, Portugal property market immune from COVID-19. So, you know, 2020 has been a good year. I expect 2021 to be better. I'm seeing the tourism market recovering in the second half of this year, and then pretty much back to normal by the beginning of 2022. So I think the property market certainly over the next 2 to 5 years is going to be very positive. And one of the reasons for that is that there aren't many hotels to sort of compete against sort of the properties. So there are a lot of people looking at investing in properties in Largos, you know, to generate rental income, because they're not really competing with the hotels. So that's obviously going to drive the property market forward as well.
Yeah, I think the unique thing about the Algarve is, I mean, building regulations are very strict. Planning permission takes a long time. I mean, I tried changing the planning permission on one plot of land. It was one big house that was an 8-bedroom house. and I wanted to split it into 2 houses. And we're 2.5 years down the line, and I still don't have planning permission. So it's a bad thing, you know, if you wanted to build your own house. And I would always advise you to get something with a project approved. But it's a great thing if you're buying an apartment or something that's already built, because there's not an overbuild. I mean, if you look at Donna, the Residences, it's a great location. I mean, if we compared it to other projects, I know the W's been launched, and that's another great location. It's quite a lot more money, and it's different. It's a hotel project. Sure. So yeah, so if you're choosing the right areas, and in the Algarve at the moment, there's not a lot of construction going on. I mean, if you compared it to, I don't know, a similar coastline like the Costa del Sol, it's a similar length. In the Costa del Sol, there's 250 new developments. The average size of the development would be 150 units. It's not uncommon to see a development building 800 units, whereas the Algarve, we get excited if there's a development with more than 30 properties.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and we never see anything more than 200 properties.
No, absolutely. I mean, the Algarve is just much smaller market than the Costa del Sol. And, you know, one of the reasons for that is that you know, the Portuguese government learned from the mistakes of Spain, because they had lots of uncontrolled development in Spain. Yeah. And, you know, the Portuguese government really wants to control the environment and to protect it. And so it's becoming increasingly difficult to get planning permission to build anywhere. I mean, there are a few overplots here and there that you know, apartment buildings can be built on, but it's just not so common.
I mean, if you look at Maya Praia Beach, if a developer looked at that and went, and even I look at it now and think, wow, it'd be amazing to build on Maya Praia Beach. They would never allow it.
Never allow it. And you know, every 10 years they review the planning permissions, and you know, it's always getting stricter. It's never getting
easier.
Never getting easier. No, absolutely. I mean, as a real estate agent, of course, it can be a little bit frustrating for us, because you know, it's not as if we've got so much to show people.
No, and the other thing, when I first moved here, so I used to sell property in Spain, and you can sell lots of property with sea views because it's built. Could be. I mean, I owned an apartment in Honda. I was probably a 15-minute drive down to the beach and a 20-minute drive back up, and we had a sea view, but it was very far away, but it was in an elevated position, and you could sell frontline beach properties there. Here, we very rarely get frontline beach properties.
Oh my God, yeah. And you have to pay a premium for them. I mean, a serious premium for something frontline.
Okay. What's been the historical property appreciation? I think we covered that.
Yeah, I mean, 5, 6, 7%. I mean, you know, the thing about the Algarve is it's steady. You know, it's not as if it's suddenly jumping by 20%, because then that will give you think that, well, maybe that continued and then there'll be a sudden fall. It's not like that. It's a steady incremental increase year by year by year.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the thing is that there is nothing happening in Portugal that's going to affect the property market. You know, everything is positive in Portugal in terms of, you know, building regulations, building quality, and all of that. The only thing that can affect the market is sort of external forces, you know, like the crash of 2008 that obviously had an impact on us here, but it's really something only like that that could have an effect.
Yeah. I've lost the question, Sasha. Sorry, we're in technical issues. The iPad's just connecting again. So we're lucky the power hasn't gone off this time. But yeah, we'll just try and get the questions. Or Tia, if you're online, if you can send them to my phone on WhatsApp or put them on the screen, that would be brilliant.
Let's see if I can connect to.
Okay, I've got a question already.
Oh, okay.
Tia's answered already. Good. It says, well, thank you for the invite. So you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. What are the mortgage criteria for Portugal?
Well, it's basically looking at what I call the affordability ratio, which is basically how much you earn, you know, net of income, if you're buying it jointly together, husband and wife, for example, what the total income is per year,
Yeah.
And then the banks look at what 35% of that is. And then this is the back of the envelope sort of description. And then that is the total amount that you will be allowed to repay annually from any existing loans that you have, plus the loan that you're asking for in Portugal. And you can borrow up to the age of 75 for some banks, up to the age of 80 in other banks. Some banks will lend you up to 70%. Other banks will lend you up to 80%.
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's straightforward.
And with that, we've got Christina. She's actually on the call now. So if anyone wants to get a free mortgage quote, we don't charge for this service. And the full process, we don't charge any of our clients for this. We make a small commission from the bank, so that's how we get paid. But we work with all the banks. So yeah, you can reach out to Christina. Her email address is just Christina@Ideal Homes Portugal, or the website for that is idealhomesmortgages.com. So, and it's a nice, easy process.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some great success with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Next question. Quite a lot of questions, actually. Looking at golden visa ideas in California, and do not think I will be able to make it there by the end of the year. How do I really make the decision based on this scenario?
You have to make a decision without actually coming. Well, we are able to do Zoom calls. We're able to film individual units that you might be interested in. Talk to you about the location, show you the location, do all the sort of filming that we can do in order to sort of demonstrate exactly what the unit looks like, and almost, but not quite, get you as if you were literally physically here. Yeah. And we've had a lot of success that way. I mean, since the second half of last year up until now, almost all of our properties have been
converted.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, Sasha has been a bit modest, but he got a wonderful testimonial from clients I saw over the weekend. And they were in the snow, they were drinking hot drinks. If you're online now, thank you very much. That is a really rewarding thing to receive. Yeah. And I messaged Sasha straight away and said, that was brilliant. And the clients actually said, oh, since we've brought, we've actually found out there's one or two other people around here who've been in touch with Sasha. Yeah. Quite close proximity in the States. So yeah.
Well, in fact, they recommended them to me.
Oh, did they?
Oh, exactly.
I just thought it was a surprise.
No, not at all. No. They've recommended 3 clients.
That's really
nice.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Oh, we'll have to look after them. We owe them dinner.
Absolutely.
And some wine.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really thank them very much for that testimonial.
That was really nice to see. Yeah. And just especially with the snow in the background. Yeah. It made me want to go skiing, to be fair. Where we're up to. What are the new rules and deadlines regarding the golden visa?
Well, so the golden visa was looking at being changing on the 1st of July.
Yeah.
So it was 5 years for the Algarve, 400,000 euros, for other areas, 500,000 euros. And they were looking at increasing those thresholds, so we didn't know what those thresholds were going to be from the 1st of July. And then as of 48 hours ago, we learned that they were extending that till the end of this year. So it's still exactly the same.
So it's still 400,000.
Still 400,000 for the Algarve, 500,000 for elsewhere. And then they're looking at the end of this year, extending it for another 18 months, but with new rules. Yeah. But we don't really know what those new rules are going to be. So my recommendation is that, between now and the end of this year, everything remains exactly as it is. Yeah. So, and you don't have to have physically the golden visa in your hand. As long as you purchase the property and put in the golden visa application, then you're locked into the existing rules that we have now.
Yeah. I mean, moving forward, they could scrap it all together. I don't think they will. One idea could be that they increase it from 400,000 to 600,000, maybe 700. We just don't know.
We just don't know.
I mean, if you want to know what to do now, it's go with the rules now. arrange a video tour with Sasha, and at least see the areas, the properties. Or we did release a video, I think a lot of you would have seen it, on Friday at 5 o'clock. It's uploaded to our YouTube channel. Just literally go to YouTube, type in Ideal Homes International, hit the subscribe button so you'll be updated on everything. And we've got a really good special deal coming up on this Friday as well.
Yeah,
so we're excited about that.
Yeah.
How far away from Donna Maria is the closest golf course?
It's about less than 5-minute drive away.
And that would be Boa Vista?
That would be Boa Vista.
Yeah.
And then, so that's one golf course that's on the western side.
Yeah.
So it's less than 5 minutes away. And then on the eastern side, which is one of the prettiest, fantastic views, is Palmares Golf. And that must be 10 minutes drive away.
Okay.
And then there's another one 15 minutes drive away, another one 20 minutes drive away, another one 30 minutes drive away. So, you know, you've got lots of options.
Yeah. I mean, I've never actually played golf. I've been to a driving range once, but I started going to Boa Vista 11 years ago. That's where I taught my son to swim. Okay. And they've got a really nice indoor pool. They've got a spa centre. I know you've got one in Donna Maria, but if you ever fancy just something different, 5-minute drive up to Boa Vista. You pay as you go to use the pool. And they've got a really nice breakfast. It's a great Sunday brunch place. And it's got amazing views when you sat at the clubhouse and with the spa and everything. So it's really nice. And just down from there, I found another little golf course, which I've been with one of our clients, David. And we went up and we had some drinks up there and some food up there. And that's a Sasha golf course. And that's beautiful. The clubhouse they've built up there.
I've never been there, actually.
It's really nice. Probably, I mean, you come out of Largos, so you don't get on the motorway, but there's a new bypass around Largos, and go just past Pré de Luz and turn up the road there, and yeah, it's a really nice location. So yeah, there's plenty of golf courses.
I've hacked my way around a golf course 2 or 3 times, but really it's not particularly my game. But
and for those of you who don't know, our office is in Villasol on the golf course.
Yes,
the view from the top of the office is yeah, never been on. So is the Golden Visa program ending soon? Yeah, we've gone through that. Is there a cost to obtain the Golden Visa?
Yes, there is a cost. It depends upon how many people are on the Golden Visa. The Golden Visa will be for a principal title holder, then their married partner, and then their financial dependents. And each one of those will have a cost. But I think if you want sort of more details, you know, we can sort of send you out a quote and tell you exactly what the breakdown of those costs are, because I can't quite remember exactly what the total is. It's not particularly cheap.
No,
it's not particularly cheap. But
I mean, from memory, it's around about 4,500 euros per applicant, and then there's some ongoing fees. But with that, we've got a lawyer we recommend, which is Ricardo Pica. His website is legalservices.pt. So you can reach out to Ricardo and he can give you exact numbers.
Sure. And what's good about Ricardo is that, you know, he can represent you in the purchase of the property and get the Golden Visa for you. So it will be done the one way.
Yeah, and he's ready for Zoom calls. So my suggestion really with that is book a Zoom call in with him. That first 1 hour, he doesn't charge you for that. And yeah, he's very knowledgeable. He's the person I ring and ask loads of questions to. How has the NHR scheme changed, if at all, post-Brit exit? Please explain any differences or things to be aware of and the process to follow when trying to apply for your NHR scheme.
Well, so that I think is the detail. To answer that in detail, I think it will be with Ricardo. I don't think that the Brexit has changed anything regarding the NHR.
No, well, I mean, my experience of this, and I've helped a few clients, but not personally, but through Ricardo. And I've known people get it in a week. it's relatively easy to do.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, but I mean, I know they did change it from it was 0%
to 10%.
to 10%. That's the big change. But apart from that, there's no other changes. But if you want to get into more in-depth, it's more of a one-to-one conversation with that, 'cause it's based on your own situation. So I would reach out to Ricardo Beaker at legalservices.pt. Next one. It appears that Largos is driven more by rental apartments than by the provision of hotels. Why is that?
Well, good question. I'm not really sure, actually. I think maybe because, I think it's a local Portuguese working town, right?
Yeah.
So there was really, I think, in the early days, no call for hotels, and so it was all sort of built up with properties for people to live. And I don't think there's lots of space for hotels.
No. I mean,
I'm not really sure I can answer that any more fully than that.
Well, with Nunu, I know he runs a few hotels. I've stayed in one of them, and for anyone who was on the gathering in February, we stayed in one of his hotels. How do I say this without basically the quality? I mean, you can go and stay at the Tivoli Hotel in the centre. I think it's meant to be a 4 or 5 star. When you compare that to a rental unit in, say, Quinta Abatea, that was one of the developments that Nunu brought, you'd be paying, certainly in high season, €250 for a 20 square metre room in a hotel. That's not amazing, versus you're paying €180 a night in Quinta Abatea, and you end up with a 2-bed, 2-bath, beautifully finished apartment. So I think the apartments have just really taken over. And it's just, I mean, Largos, there's not a lot of land to develop. No. So when we're saying like Donna Maria is the best location, I couldn't think of a better location. No. Yeah, apart from on the beach.
No, I mean, I'm just surprised, I didn't hear about Donna Maria as a plot, until very recently. And I was, my God, when I heard about that, oh my God, what a stunning location. Yeah. I was really surprised that they that was going to happen there.
Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't going to release it this early. It was released it early because
of the success of the Dega.
Everyone wanted a Dega, absolutely. Sold that and released this, and we kind of said, look, you're going to have to wait, and that's why I did the much lower deposit, 5% and the 5% discount.
And we've had tremendous success with that. I mean, he's had lots of reservations. I don't know quite how many reservations we've had now, but so we're selling a couple a day at the moment, aren't we? So
yeah, so very good.
Yeah.
At the age of 68, what is the length of mortgage you can get?
If 68 is your next birthday, that means that you could have a mortgage up until the age of 80, so 12 years.
Yeah.
12 years.
I mean, the one thing I'd say about that is the banks do limit you. In the US, they don't do this.
I know that.
I know, and I've had a few clients say, well, it's a bit ageist, and it is, but
it is.
We benefit in some ways with the low interest rates, but we lose on something. So a great idea would be to, and I've done this before with clients, it's not as straightforward because then you need to do a few things after the purchase, but you can ask a family member or a friend. I know a couple of clients who have put it in their children's names. So, their child might be 35, they could get a 40-year mortgage. It just breaks down the repayments. So yeah, it's just after. There are
options.
It's just after that. So the mortgage would go in your son or daughter's name, and then after that we arrange for a power of attorney so that you can still do absolutely everything. It does lengthen the process, and I've had a couple of clients where it just takes that a little bit longer to get the rental license and things like that set up. So yeah, that's another option. And again, we can talk to you on a one-to-one basis about that, based on your criteria and your needs. Wanted to ask Sasha if that hotel was still building as it was last year when I was looking for the golden visa. Things have changed and I'm now looking for an investment property.
The hotel in Largos, I think. I think we're talking about the Largos Hotel and Spa project. Yeah, I spoke to them about that the other day, actually, and they're starting the renovation at the end of this year.
Yeah.
And I'm not really quite sure why that is the case. I would invest in something else, probably.
Yeah.
Because of that. I haven't got to the bottom of why they've taken so long to do that. But, you know, I'd be happy to talk to you about other options because I've got other ideas that we could, depending upon your budget, of course, that I would recommend.
Yeah, because but I think Villa Branca is a good option.
It's a very good option, yeah.
He's done a nice refurb.
Yeah.
And I do like the Largos Beach Resort.
Yeah.
But it's completely different. I mean, you're talking about a 45 square metre studio compared to a 120 square metre apartment. You know, and I'd rather always be in control of my own destiny.
Absolutely, and you know, and to be allowed to stay in your own property is important. You know, and you can't really do that in the Largos Hotel and Spa apart from 2 weeks a year. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that has got to be a pure investment, pure vehicle for the Golden Visa, and yeah, I prefer to. Yeah, not have a touristic license.
No, absolutely.
So,
but the important thing is we've got options, you know, different price points. So,
realistically, what are the seasonal returns on properties? Is there a glut of rentals since you're only allowed to be there for 3 months? 3 months?
Yeah, I think it's for people who are perhaps from the UK or non-European Union, so you can stay for 3 months in any 6-month period. I don't think that changes anything at all. That doesn't change anything. People are looking at short-term rentals, a week or 2 weeks at a time. I don't see that has any impact whatsoever. Brexit, for example.
No, I mean, at the moment, we've got properties in Largos. I mean, we've got one on a month-to-month rental. It's not a long-term rental. That's a 1-bed garden apartment. And that rents for €2,000 at the moment. So if you had a mortgage of, say, €600, you'd be profiting around about, after you've paid your bills, and we charge a rental commission. So the commission on that is 10%. And if you want to know more about rentals, you can reach out to Megan. And our rentals website is idealhomesrentals.com. And she can tell you more about the charges and everything else. But yeah, so if a client's bringing in €2,000, we'd take 10% of that, so that'd be €200, and they'd pay some bills and then obviously pay a mortgage if you've got one. But there'd be a little bit of profit out of season. It's really in season where you'll maximise your rental return, like June, July, and August. That's where you'll get the best rentals.
Absolutely.
And I personally do this, as you know. Last year, some of our rentals cancelled and moved into 2021, and then we had a lot of Portuguese. And we rent our villa out. We always take the kids away. For the last 3 years, we've been in Thailand and Vietnam. Last year, we went to Greece, and we only wanted to go for 7 weeks. And we had the full 7 weeks booked up. The only thing when we came back is someone had pinched my wife's plug adapter for the toaster. That was the worst, but yeah, that's it. Next one. Would you discuss what the difference in rental rates are at Donna Maria from floor 0, working you up to floor 5? In other words, what is the premium one? Would you receive rent to the premium paid for the high levels at Donna Maria?
So I would say that the one that's going to give you the best bang for your buck is probably the second floor. Because that's the first floor where you're getting uninterrupted marina and sea views, but at the lowest price point for that.
Yeah.
And so as you go up the floors, so you're paying a premium for the property, which you won't necessarily proportionally get back in return on the rental income. So if you're looking for as an investment property, I'll be going for a 3-bedroom, the cheapest 3-bedroom you can find, with uninterrupted sea views. and that's the second floor, perhaps the third floor. And then for the higher floors, there'll be more because that's what you personally want. You're going to obviously get more rental income, but not quite the same yield as one of the cheaper ones.
Yeah, so it'd be, I think you're right with that. We're never 100% right with everything.
No.
I would say the more you pay, the higher you go, your rental yield comes down. But
you can charge more, but not to the extent that the cost of the apartment is costing.
Yeah, I would say though, it could be that you go a little bit higher, and then in the future, you know, it depends on your individual circumstances. You might get more for that property when you sell it.
Oh, of course, that's for the rental income, but there are two sides to the equation. There's a rental income side and there's a capital appreciation side. And in fact, you'll find that the capital appreciation side will be outstripping the rental income side on a sort of like 60-40 basis. So over a 5-year period, out of the total, if you were to resell, if you were to sell your apartment, you probably get 60% of the total profit will be in capital appreciation and 40% in the yield, in the income that you're generating. So, you know, when you combine the two together, you know, you should expect over a 5-year period to be getting something like a 50% return on your investment over a 5-year period.
Yeah, and we've seen this happen.
Yeah, absolutely, we've seen this happen. You know, I had a client who purchased a property 4 years ago from Nunu, from the same developer at 450,000, and just resold it 4 years later at 650,000.
Yep.
So you know that's 200,000 in 4 years.
And you got the rental income.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got the rental income.
So I bought on the 3rd floor. Should have spoke to you before. What cultural events and centres are there for non-golfers? How far are the bigger cities? I imagine there is lots of nature and outside sports and activities to be enjoyed.
Oh yes, there's lots to see and do in the Algarve. What's great is every single town has a whole sequence of events throughout the year, right? Concerts, you know, food festivals, all sorts of different things. You know, arts and crafts, you know, things, and yeah. So there's a lot happening. Yeah. And then of course you've got the ocean. You've got lots of water sports that you can do. Horse riding, you know, safari, walking tours, cycling tours. I mean, everything. Yeah. I think there's, you know, if you want to watch F1, we've got an F1 track. Yeah. You know, it's only 15 minutes away from Largos. Yeah, so everything really.
I mean, some of my special memories of living here for, you know, the last 11, 12 years have been the medieval festival in Silves.
Oh yeah.
And they charge you €2 to get in. It's like nominal fee, and it's really inexpensive up there. €1 for a beer. Get really nice food. There's shows going on, fireworks. We've got a really good sense of humour up there. I loved seeing UB40 play at the Pine Cliffs Hotel, and it was tickets for €30 or VIP tickets for drinks for €70. And you could have sat down and had a meal there for maybe 120. And just being so close to the stage, there was only maybe 8,000 people there. Yeah. But listening to UB40, one of my favourite bands, so that was really good.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of musical festivals going on, and of course there are lots of local restaurants where you can have traditional fado music, where singers go around and sing, you know, whilst you're eating, and that's really nice as well. So lots of music, lots of classical music. They've got ballet, you know, rock concerts, you know, jazz festivals. You know, everything.
Yeah. And from Largos, you're only a 15-20-minute drive to Portugal. Yeah. And that's where it all happens. That's where Sasha lives. Are there any more public works planned in Largos, such as museums, improvements to the promenade, public art, etc.?
Well, they're always making improvements here and there, but I'm not sure that there's anything specifically planned as such.
I mean, the big one was they built a new train station And they literally just kept the old train station, cut the track a little bit, moved the train station up the track. And then down in front of the walls, near the waterfront, they did build a new underground car park and refurbished the top. But I don't think
there's anything particularly happening, that's worth talking about.
No. The marina's done. That's finished. There was always this talk of Largos getting an international airport. I don't see that happening anytime.
There's a little aerodrome, but that's it.
Yeah, I've taken off on that aerodrome.
Have you?
Yeah, flew, and you can do this. It's about €75 for 20 minutes. I think I paid the next package up, which was about 100. It was actually a gift.
Oh, right.
Took off from Largos, flew for 30 minutes, and then came into land. And I always remember the pilot saying, we match up with the two gas stations, petrol stations, and we just tried to miss them. But it was really nice to see the coast and see everything.
And also another thing that we didn't mention about Largos, of course, it's got a really nice tennis centre as well. So if you're into tennis,
I didn't know that.
right next to Adega. It's a 2-minute walk from Adega.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's more time.
It's a hidden from view, but it's there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool. My understanding is that there's currently a COVID shutdown. What does that look like in the Algarve, and when do you expect it to end?
So we're in a sort of state of emergency. It's a legal term, which means that they review the situation every couple of weeks. And we're looking at till the end of this month, maybe middle of next month. And basically all that's happening is that you have to wear your mask outside.
Yep.
You can go to and come and go from work. If you are outside for leisure, it's because you're of exercise or walking a dog. You have to wear your mask in supermarkets. So the supermarkets are open, pharmacies are open, critical shops are open, for internet, for telephone shops are open, pet shops are open, clothes shops are closed.
Yeah, clothes shops are closed. You have to order online.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not onerous. It's not onerous. I don't, you can't go to restaurants, of course. You can get takeaways though, but you can't take away drinks. You can only eat food.
That's the hardest thing. The coffees.
Yeah.
You just can't go to a coffee shop and get a takeaway. And I think they've said beginning of April, definitely we're hoping to have it, but it's like anywhere in the world, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, COVID figures have dropped off a lot. We because if you look kind of at Spain and the UK, they're probably a little bit further ahead than us. And I know Spain started to open up. UK, they put some dates in. So yeah, but it's not too bad.
Not too bad.
If it was middle of summer, then is Adega all sold out now? I've been meaning to ask this.
There are a couple of units left. I've got a couple which are sort of reserved for clients, and I'm expecting for deposits to go in very soon. And there are a couple of three bedrooms with offices still left in Block 5.
Yeah, I mean with that, it's some clients have changed from Adega to Donna Maria. We're not in the routine of rushing clients along. We want you to make the right decision in your time. So it's not that we're going to say to the clients, look, you've only got a week to decide. So we're just giving them a little bit of time.
Sure.
So yeah, it's a polite way of saying Sasha's not a pushy sale. One of my good friends, Timothy. Hi, Timothy. You okay? Nice to see you. Please talk a bit about the different blocks of Donna Maria Residences.
So you've got 5 blocks, blocks 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Block 1 is the peculiar one in the sense that there are 3 apartments per floor.
Yeah. 2
bedrooms and 1 4-bedroom.
And is that the block closest to the sea?
Closest to the waterway. So the most east. Yeah. And then you've got blocks 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and they are all pretty much identical. So 2 apartments per floor, per block, and they're all 3-bedroom apartments.
Yep.
So you've got the living room at the front, and with 1 bedroom, if my memory serves me correctly, at the front facing the sea, and then 2 bedrooms at the back.
Okay. And then on the raised ground level, that's where the outdoor pool is. And what's underneath at the front? I presume it's a commercial area.
Yeah. So obviously in front of Donna Maria, you've got the spa.
Yeah.
Which is the inside heated pool, sauna, jacuzzi, gymnasium.
Yep.
And then you've got commercial shops facing outwards. I think about a dozen shops it's going to be facing outwards. Yeah. There. And then, of course, underground, you've got underground car parking spaces. All the 4 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms have 2 car parking spaces. One will be sort of for an electric car, if you want an electric car connection there, plus all the storage rooms. The apartments on the top floor, the penthouses, have private roof terraces with individual jacuzzis, but there are also communal areas for each block, also with jacuzzis. In fact, in total, there are going to be 16 jacuzzis on the roof, and there's spectacular views from the roof, 360-degree views.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing, yeah.
You'll look one way to the Montjuic Mountains. The other way, you'll see Maya Praia, you'll see the 2 marinas, you'll see the old town of Largos. It's going to be really nice. So even up around the old marina, which is like the fishing part, there's some nice restaurants up there.
Oh, yeah.
It's becoming very trendy.
Yeah.
I went down there. Donna very nicely invited me down when he was talking about the development. And I took my family, took some friends as well. And we had a long weekend in Largos, which was beautiful, just before Christmas. And I just remember we went to a really nice Sunday lunch. They had a jazz player on. And we stayed until Monday, made a proper long weekend out of it. I remember sat outside my friend Carl and looking across and saying, I can't believe there's going to be such a nice development, a 1 minute walk away from here. So that was really good.
And it's so convenient. Everything's close by. You've got 3 supermarkets within sort of 5 minute walk away. The center of town, the old part of town, is probably 7 or 8 minutes walk away. The marina is about 3 minutes walk away. Maya Praia Beach, longest natural bay in Europe, is about sort of 15 minutes walk away. Train station, 10 minutes walk away. The tennis center, 5 minutes walk away. I mean, literally everything is on your doorstep. You never really need to use a car.
No, you wouldn't. Never. Because you can get the train or get a transfer. And Timothy, again, it just said, so do the 2-bed units in block 1 have sea or marina views or both?
Both, depending upon whether you're talking about the A apartments or the B apartments. The A apartments are the ones to the side with the balcony sticking out, so you'll have side views, but the B apartments are directly facing.
Okay. And then I think we've got the last question. If anyone's got any more questions, we're on the last one, so please send them across. How has Brexit affected residency?
Well, I don't think it's affected it anyway at all, right? If you happen to be already in Portugal, resident of Portugal, you've just got to, update your paperwork, or had to have done it before Brexit. But that's all fine. I mean, I've done that myself, and that hasn't, so I'm now a resident of Portugal. For people who are wanting to visit, as long as you're not looking at staying for more than 3 months at a time, in any 6-month period, it's usually sort of visa-free travel, unless you're from the US, but that's very simple to get a traveler's visa. So I'm not sure that it's having very much effect at all.
It's not affected so much the travel. I mean, it has, but not in that way. But before, people from the UK could just simply come here and stay. That's what I did. I presume that's what you did. But now you'd have to apply for a visa if you wanted to live here. Or do the golden visa.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're from the UK and you wanted to come and live here, it's the same as any non-European place now. Yeah. So
well, we're having lots of inquiries now from people from the UK looking for the golden visa.
Yeah.
So that is one option if you're looking to stay here for a longer period of time and effectively want to become a EU citizen. The golden visa is going to allow you to do that, because it allows you to travel through in any other country in the EU or in the Schengen area, shall we say, and then get automatic Portuguese citizenship in year 6.
Yeah.
So you know, if you really want to be part of Europe, you know, you feel that's really important to you, then the golden visa is the ticket for that.
Of the freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another one. What is the status of internet service? How fast?
Super fast. So, for example, Donna Maria residents will have a fiber optic cable. Lots of areas that have fiber optic cable will give you 1 gigabyte a second, which is as fast as it can be. Also, mobile network, 4G everywhere with very little sort of signal drop off. So, you know, it's first world connection. I mean, far superior, let's say, than the UK on average. Far superior than the US on average.
The only thing I'd say with that is I did live up in the hills in Bologna, and I said, oh, so what about the internet connection? And they said, no. And I had to buy 2 wireless boxes, which were pretty good. I mean, we could stream off them. So if you do go inland, the internet quality does fall off.
Sure, but you can get a little small satellite dish, you know, and get the internet that way and get good connection that way. So there are solutions.
Yeah.
You know, wherever you.
But a new build in a city centre.
Oh yeah.
Fine. Yeah. And frequent severe droughts in the Algarve. How bad are they? How has it affected everyday life by it?
Not at all. So there are lots of water reservoirs in the Algarve, and I've been here in 35 years. We've never had to ration our water ever in 35 years.
So I remember living in the UK, and they said, "You can't wash your car."
Yeah,
you know what I mean, never get things.
Never, you know, and I can't get that at all. I don't understand how in the UK, which is such a rainy place, you have to have water rationing, and you don't have it in Portugal. But that's of course because it can rain in the winter time. I mean, we're not living in a desert, so you know
we've had nothing but rain for 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. But that fills up the reservoirs. And,
yeah,
you know,
that's what we needed.
Yeah.
So just to go a little bit stronger on that, and I do remember it was probably 6 years ago, and it was all in the newspaper, front page news. The reservoirs are very low, and I remember speaking to a friend of mine who owned a car wash, and I said, "Can you still operate? Will they not stop you?" And he said, "We recycle all the water, so you do lose it, you know, 10-20% of it." But, yeah, I mean, they're pretty good up there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, you know, Portugal is very much a first world country in many respects. I mean, it's a very, very good road system, you know, very good sort of internet system. I think something like 65% or 70% of the energy consumed in Portugal is from renewable energy. I mean, it broke the world record for the number of sequential days running exclusively on renewable energy. I think it was 7 or 8 days for that. Yeah. So in many respects, Portugal is a very advanced country.
Yeah, and Largos, one of the builders who we're going to introduce this Friday, you'll meet him. He's done an interview. We're just editing it now. That'll go out on the deal with launching this Friday. And Gonzalo, as you drive into Largos, he owns the field of solar panels.
Yeah, solar farm there.
Yeah, and I said, that's fantastic. And he said, I'm pleased you like that, because we're doing another one. And at the end of the motorway, on the right-hand side, there's lots of land.
Okay.
He's cleared all the land, and I was going to say planted, but installed half the solar panels there already.
Okay.
And that's going to be enough solar energy to power Largos.
Really?
Yeah, and he says by the time he's finished it, it'll be most of the Western Algarve.
Wow.
So, there's some big things. You know what comes out.
Yeah.
It's very futuristic. Re-Brexit, how long did you have to be there to be grandfathered in?
I don't think you had any particular time period. I think you just had to have had a sort of a tax number. You had to have a sort of an address with a, you know, you've got a bill coming in with your address. I think that was all that was required for you to be able to. You had to have a show of presence in Portugal, providing you could do that. And before the 31st of December, you could have applied automatically and got residency.
And then what is the cost of national healthcare for a senior in the Algarve?
Well, I mean, there is no cost. There is no cost. You know, if you are a Portuguese resident, you only pay national insurance if you're earning money in Portugal. So there is no other cost, you know.
No.
And private medical is not particularly expensive here at all. I got private medical and I'm only paying 80 euros a month. And that gives me pretty much everything I need. So it's not expensive, you know, private or national health.
Yeah, because we had some clients came around to our house last week, and they were saying in the US they were paying, I can't remember the figure, but it was a lot more than 80 a month.
Oh my God, yes, in the US.
Because we started and they said, how much do you pay for healthcare insurance? I said, we just don't. You know, if we need a doctor, you know.
Well, the US, I mean, they're just paying ridiculous sums of money. I mean, one of my clients, he suffers from an eye condition, and he needed some medication for that, which he is on prescription. And in the US, it was costing something like $300 a bottle. Here it costs €5. Yeah, €5 versus $300.
It's just crazy.
But it's not because it's so cheap in Portugal, it's because it's so expensive in the US. That's where the issue lies.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but here, I mean, I've never paid for, we have travel insurance, which costs about,
no, I mean, you know, there's no concept, for example, in Portugal of becoming bankrupt because you get ill. No. You know, in the US, people are very scared of getting ill because they can become bankrupt overnight because of all the bills that it's costing them. Yeah. Here, there's no concept of that. There's no stress relating to.
I mean, the only thing we've ever paid for is we pay out our own pocket is the dentist. Yes. And I definitely recommend John the dentist. So he's based in Albufeira.
But, you know, but that's very reasonable. I mean, if filling cost me €50, or I think something like that, just standard filling. You know, in the US, it's $750 or some ridiculous sum of money. You know, it's orders of magnitude more expensive. Yeah. You know, when I tell my American clients what the cost is, it blows their mind. Yeah, you know, they just can't quite understand it.
No. I will probably never become a Portuguese resident and would like to apply for a long-term visa. Is this difficult to obtain, and how long will it last? I understand I'll have to apply to the embassy whilst I'm in the UK.
Well, I'm not sure I know the answer to that question. I think this is something for Ricardo. You know, if you want to have sort of detailed answers to that kind of question, I think the best thing to do is to contact Ricardo.
Yeah, and he should know the answer to it, but there is that phase, especially from the UK, where everything's still quite new.
Yes, still quite new. Absolutely.
I mean, we landed we came back, it was actually in Mexico, I was working over there, and came back from Mexico on January the 1st, landed at Madrid airport, and they didn't know what to do with us. You know, everyone else was...
I remember you telling me the story, yeah.
And then, it took about 2 hours. We got through in the end, showed them my residency card for Portugal, and got through, and then drove back from Madrid to the Algarve. Was pleased to pass that border. Is there a community sewer service anywhere near Donna Maria?
Community sewer service?
So I think that means, is there a sewage works anywhere?
Oh, no.
Where's the closest hospital to Largos?
In Largos, it's about a 3-minute drive.
Yeah. And then I suppose Largos is quite a local hospital. If you needed anything else, Portimao.
Yeah, Portimao, which is about 20 minutes away.
Yeah. That's
a big general hospital.
Yeah. And then the probably slightly bigger hospital would be Faro.
Yeah, which is probably 40, 50 minutes away, something like that.
Yeah. And then, you know, anything more serious, touch wood not, but then you'd go up to Lisbon, and that's 2.5, 3 hours away. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I meant, is there a sewage treatment plant near Donna Maria?
No.
They wouldn't put it near the water.
No.
Sorry.
Basically, there's no smell anywhere in Largos. You know, I don't know where the sewage works will be, but it's obviously nowhere that's having any effect.
No. I mean, the only time there used to be a smell was when you went down the big hill in Portimao.
Yeah.
And that was not from sewerage or anything like that. It was from the tides going in and out.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you know, I've lived in Portimao almost all my time in the Algarve. Up until about sort of 3 or 4 years ago, occasionally I got a whiff, but then they did some new sewage works, and since then it's zero.
Yeah.
You know, so they must have done something like that in Largos a few years back, because I don't recollect any time ever having any sort of smell in Largos.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the last of the questions. If anyone's got a last one, we've still got time to answer it. But if not, I mean, thank you very much for joining us. We hope it's been informative. You know, if you want to talk to us on a one-to-one basis, I mean, my phone number is +351 918 055 119. So that's +351 918 055 119, and I've got WhatsApp. The phone's just here, so I'll be working for the next couple of hours. Sasha?
And of course, you can contact me on my email, which is Sasha, S-A-S-H-A, Sasha @idealhomesportugal.com, or on my mobile, which is +351 917 245, +351 917 245, sorry, 245 175. Let me repeat that, 351 917 245 175.
It's impressive because nobody really remembers their own number.
No.
And I think Tia's put it in the chat as well, so
great.
you can see it there.
You know, we'd be delighted. We're delighted to hear from you. You know, even if you're not someone that's looking to buy right now, but you just want answers to any questions, we're always monitoring our emails, our phones, and we'll be happy to talk to you on the Zoom call, any which way, and you know,
and I mean, the office is open again from 9:30. So it's a lovely team of people. You might have seen some of the people from YouTube. So yeah, reach out. I mean, tomorrow I know we've got Sandy in, Jose in, Renee in, Stacey's in from Rentals, Megan's in from Rentals. So yeah, just reach out, anything you need. Even if you're not even thinking about buying a property and you've got a question, please pass it over. We'd love to help.
absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you very much. If anyone wants a one-to-one call, I'm free now. I think, oh, one last question. When will the interior renderings be available for the residences? So I can answer this one. I wanted Nuno on this chat, and he said, you've got a choice. You can have me on the chat, or you can have Sasha. You know, and Sasha knows just as much, because I'll be in a meeting with the architect, and he's just messaged me saying, I'm still in the meeting with the architect. So they're just finalising everything. It's our fault. We wanted to rush and get.
We wanted, absolutely. It's because we had so much demand.
Yeah.
That we just didn't want to have a gap of having lots of people wanting to buy something and not being able to offer them something. So we've been pushing him along, and that's why we've been having this sort of soft launch of Donna Maria.
Yeah.
You know, before we've got all the information, you know, at hand.
Yeah. I mean, if my thought on that is, if you like it now, when everything else comes into play, then you'll really like it. So I'd be confident with that, and knowing what is built before. So it's a very detailed, you know, him and his farm.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
Perfect. And I think are the prevailing winds from the northwest?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person here, because I don't know. I mean, you know, what I will say is that the Algarve is not a windy place, right? And the winds can come from different directions at different times of the year, or the breezes, shall we say, come from different directions at different times of the year. So I'm not sure there is a prevailing wind, to tell you the truth, but I'm not an expert, so I could be wrong.
Yeah,
you know, but I don't notice it.
We'd have to just look on Google for that one. Yeah. And then last one, it says, from Greg, thank you. Great conversation and good info. While this won't be the property that draws me to Portugal, I keep abreast of your postings on a weekly basis. So that's really nice. Still a few years away from retirement, but making plans now to consider property purchase in Portugal. Likely to arrange a rental most of the year, then winter in Portugal. So does that mean you want to rent first? because we get a lot of inquiries for long-term rentals. There's a big demand for it. So imagine you as the property owner, if you owned a property and you said, you know, I own a 2-bed, 2-bath in a Dega that's coming up for completion very soon. And we gave you the option and we said, you can rent that out for, I don't know, €1,500 a month. You won't have to pay gas, water, electric or cleaning. However, your tax liability will be 28% and you can't use the property yourself. Or you can get 15 weeks rental, which would be the same as that, you know, 1,500 a month. You only have to pay 8% tax. And there's a good chance, I mean, we've looked at a Dega and we think it'll achieve, I think, 30 weeks if you're not using it in the high season and some winter rentals. So you can get 30 weeks rental, almost double the money, and only pay 8% tax. And that's why it's really hard to find a long-term rental in Portugal.
It is. I mean, there are around, but they're usually sort of small, pokey little places in the middle of city centre locations. They're not really sort of place that someone from outside of Portugal would entertain the idea of wanting to rent.
No. I mean, when I first moved across, we rented a really nice apartment in Parque de Corcovado in Albufeira. And the rental person, they said, it's very common to do this. You'll sign a 6-month rental agreement, followed by the promise of another 6 months rental agreement. But I moved in the middle of, just before Christmas. And then by summer, I said, what about the next 6 months? And they said, no, the owners decided to do holiday lets. Yeah. And it was really a poor job because I paid $900 a month. I paid more to do that. I could have got the same apartment for $700 a month, but I chose to pay more because they promised me that they'd do 12 months. So I felt let down by it. And in the end, we had to move out into the countryside, over into Alcantarilla, which was a nice spot.
So that's very, very common. People will be prepared to rent, for 6 months in the winter time, but they will want you out in the summertime because they can generate so much rental income. Yeah. Well, they charge on a nightly basis. So.
Yeah. I mean, to put this into perspective, we've got 140 properties that we rent for short term, and we've got one for long term. Yeah. And that's a villa, and it brings in 3,500 a month. Yeah. And the client wanted to do it, so we did it. We'll always, do it. But long term, that's a little bit tricky. But you can get them. But if it was me, I would, if you're planning on moving here, I would come in September. And if you feel that you need that trial, I would set up a date where you go, right, I'm going to rent in September, October. I'm going to, ask Sasha for 6 days of your time over that 2-month period. And if you don't feel that you found the perfect place, then extend the rental. You'll have until May in the rental. And I'm sure Sasha could find you the right property. Sure. That's what I would do. Or buy a nice 2-bed, 2-bath as an investment, get to know the area, come here 2 or 3 times, really get a feel for it, or 5 or 6 times if you can. And then you'll know exactly what you want to buy, simply sell the property off. And I've got a client who did that. He paid $435. He's just put the property on the market. It's been there for, I think he did 2 years holiday lets, lived in it for a year. And now he said, I love being in Port de Vos Beach. And that property is well worth over 670,000. So he's made the uplift on it. Not had to pay rent. Yeah, he had to pay the buying costs. Didn't pay a mortgage because the rentals covered it, and he made more. They're very happy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're buying the right kind of property, a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom apartment, luxury apartment in a sort of a condominium with nice facilities and walkable to everywhere, that's the kind of place that you can turn around just like that.
Yeah, and why throw away €30,000 on a year's rental?
Absolutely.
So that'd be my advice. But again, if you want to reach out, give me a call. I'm working for the next 2 hours. Yeah. All right. Great. See you soon, everyone.
Thank
you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Timothy. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.